What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 174 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, dropping fitties and grabbing titties, the nip flicking, deep dicking, swimming in boobies like Scrooge McDuck and Rubies, the phenomenal AJC.
What's up, everybody?
Let's see, AJ, what have you been watching this week? Anything good?
Yeah, I watched. I got like a free trial of a few different streaming services, and one of them had the show Ghosts that I was watching before, and it was actually better in season 2 than season 1. Season 1, I feel like they were still getting their footing, and season 2, it's a lot more like just charismatic. The cast is they're just more fun to watch together. The storylines are more like, I think they're better. Like each episode is unique, and it's based off of a UK show that I heard is good, so I might go back and watch that. I'm not sure, but right now I'm just enjoying the American version. I really like it.
And who's the female actress that's the star of that show?
Rose McIver.
McIver.
You knew. She was in iZombie, and that was a show I really liked too. So I enjoy her work. I think she's a good actress.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever, I know of her, but I've never watched iZombie, and I've never watched this show, so I don't know if I've actually seen her in anything, but yeah, I just wanted to set you up for that joke.
I watched another show too. I watched a couple shows. I watched Percy Jackson, the new Disney one. It was on Hulu. So,
right.
That's what I watched it on. Yeah. Pretty good. I think it's more true to the books. Because I've seen like breakdowns of how the original movies, like the first movies, they were not very true to the books and what the differences were there. And this one seems a lot more there's a lot more correlation to the books with this one. And I like it. It's good. It's only been one episode so far.
Question for you, because I've never watched any of those Percy Jackson movies.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some people say it's the poor man's Harry Potter, but what is the general premise of Percy Jackson?
I don't even compare it to Harry Potter. It's like Greek mythology. So Percy Jackson is the son of Poseidon, but he doesn't know it. He's 12 years old. He has no idea who his father is. His mother lives with some loser who's like a jerk to him and everything. And he finds out one day strange events start happening, and he gets attacked by somebody who's not from mythology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he defeats that being, and nobody else can see it, but there's a couple people who actually do know what's going on, but they don't tell him right away. One is his best friend Grover, and one is his teacher. I forgot his name, but they both know what's going on. They just never tell him what's going on with him, who he is. And his mom, of course, knows as well. So these three people are in his life. And once those events start unfolding, once he gets to 12, I don't know if it's right when he turns 12. I think it's he's 12, and he's getting closer to an age to where mythological beings, monsters, are starting to sniff him out and starting to want to kill him. Because apparently these things want to kill demigods before they reach a certain age where they're strong enough to fight back. So I think his teacher's name's Chiron, actually. Chiron and Grover get him basically kicked out of school because it's on purpose, because they're trying to keep him, take him to a camp where there's demigods. And so his mom takes him, talks to him. She tells him that, his father is Poseidon, and they go on their journey to the camp, and that's pretty much where it leaves off in the first episode. He's at the camp, or he's just entering the camp. He hasn't actually gotten in yet, I don't think. Or no, he does at the very end of the episode, yeah.
Now, does Poseidon know he exists, or Poseidon like Zeus, and he's just one of those gods that sleeps around and probably has kids all over the place?
They don't say so far, but from what I understand, he does know he exists. Mm. They just don't have any interference with them.
I feel like that's a common thing in myths, is where the gods are just they all sleep around, and they have these secret kids all over the place.
And they're absent parents.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Uh,
gods
but,
are trash, man.
but
And
this new show, like
mhm.
so far, you're in it. You're gonna watch more.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out, see how it goes. I mean, I kind of know what's gonna happen based on what people have said about the books, but yeah, it's fun to watch, so I'll check it out. And I also watched the first couple episodes of Futurama, the 11th season.
Oh, the newest season.
Yeah, they're mostly just callbacks to like, what's happened to them so far, how they got canceled a few times and came
Right,
back every
right.
time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's mostly what I've seen from them. But I fell asleep. The whole season played, but I fell asleep, so I didn't even like see what happened after episode 3. But I'll go back and check it out.
Yeah, it seemed like this last season, like I liked it fine, but they definitely like were going after like, current issues a lot more. Like there's an episode all about cryptocurrency, and I think there was
Okay.
one that was all about like the pandemic,
Mhm.
more so than they have in past seasons. But it was fine. Like it was still fun. So,
Okay.
and I think they got picked up already for like another season, so there'll be even more Futurama down the line.
Okay, good.
Anything else?
That's about it.
I watched a few things. So that show, A Murder at the End of the World, the season finale just came out yesterday. So I watched that. Pretty good show overall.
Mhm.
I liked it. The I don't know if the last episode was kind of like as tense as I would have liked it to be, but it was still good. And I totally would recommend that series to anybody if you're into like the murder mystery genre.
Mhm.
And then also on I think it was last Friday, the first 3 episodes of Reacher season 2 on Amazon Prime came out, so I'm watching that. Now, have you watched any of Reacher?
No, but I did watch this show called Blue Mountain State before, and I'm pretty sure is that Thad from Blue Mountain State? Like, I don't know his name, the actor.
His
Have you seen Blue Mountain State?
I haven't. The actor's name is Alan Richson, and he's just like huge, like
Yeah, yeah, he's a jack dude.
right. And that's one of my things about the show. So the show, like, it's a little bit of a murder mystery,
Mhm.
but like also mixed with just like kind of like a 80s action movie as well. Like there's a lot of just like kind of big dumb action in it as well. Like it's a fun show. Like I think the majority of people would have fun with it. But
Okay.
but my thing is like his whole character is like he doesn't want to be in one place too long. So he's a drifter. He just goes like walking from town to town and but my thing is like he's clearly looks like a bodybuilder. He's jacked to the gills, and I'm like, okay, how does this work? Like, he's constantly drifting. So he apparently has a gym membership in every small town in the whole world, and also like he apparently can always stop somewhere and eat like his 9,000 like grams of protein or whatever he needs to maintain that kind of muscle mass. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm not buying that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can maintain that body with just push-ups, right?
No, I don't think so. I was talking to my brother about it, and he's like, "Yeah, he's got to be like getting steroids like in every town, because that dude is huge. It's
Yeah, bro's
insane."
got to hook up.
And also, I think I talked about this once when I was watching season 1. Is it so weird? Like he wants everyone to just call him Reacher. And
Okay.
even his mother calls him Reacher, which is his
Yeah,
last
that's
name.
weird.
And that's
That is
weird.
weird.
And also, like,
Yeah.
I believe in season 1, like, I think he has, like, an older brother or something. So it's so weird. It'd be like if my mom, like, called me Jones. And I'm like, that would be
Yeah.
so bizarre. You know what I mean? It's just, it's so nonsensical.
And it can only be one person in the family that goes by that then, right? Like nobody else can. You
Yeah,
can't all be
exactly.
John.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is, like, it's like, it would only make sense if she named both of her kids Jack Reacher, and she's like, "Well, I got to be able to differentiate you guys."
Right, yeah. Yeah,
It's
they're
so
very
weird.
professional in that family. All right.
Yeah. um, let's see, what else did I watch? Oh, so on HBO, well, Max, I guess now, the Barbie movie dropped on there.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll check this out, just because it got such buzz when it came out over the summer. I was
Hmm.
like, okay, fine, I'll check this out. And
Hmm.
here's the thing, like, it's not terrible, like, it's fine, but for what's ostensibly like a comedy, like, I didn't laugh once. Like, it's one of those things you watch and you go like, oh, that was clever, I guess, or that was mildly amusing, but you don't actually laugh, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then also, like, well, I'll say this: like, the director Greta Gerwig, I think she made more original choices than most like directors would make with a Barbie movie.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like the whole feminist like messaging in the movie, like, I don't necessarily like disagree with any of it, but I didn't think any of it was. I didn't think it said anything like super profound either. Just like, yeah, okay, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I think it got a lot of hype for like being this like social commentary movie, and it's like it has that in there, but I don't know if it's anything I haven't heard before or presented in such a way that I was like, oh, I never thought about it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Huh.
it's fine if you got a couple hours to kill. You could do worse than the Barbie movie, but you could probably do better as well. And then just last night, I finally started season 5 of Fargo, which is a series I really like. And I can't, say too much about it yet, just watching the first episode, but I really liked it, and I'll definitely continue to watch more. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that's a series, and it's an anthology series. Every season, whole different cast of characters. You can watch any season in any order.
Hmm.
So, uh, but yeah, it's continues to be just a really good series. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to dig into more. Have you watched any of the Fargo seasons?
No, not one. Not one episode.
It's such a like weird thing because like they obviously did it for the like name recognition from the movie Fargo,
Hmm.
but like the only thing that like thematically joins them is like each season is like a crime story that takes place like somewhere in the Midwest where people have a kind of like Midwest North Dakota type accent, and
Yeah.
it works like, but it, just as a concept for a show, it seems kind of weird. Um,
No, I wish there were more shows. Like, I wish there was at least one show that was running right now that was from Portland. Like, because I know there was a show called Grimm that was in Portland. I uh I watched a little bit of that. It was okay, it was an alright show. But it's fun to see like your local landmarks in a TV show, like Portlandia. That
See,
was fun to
I
watch.
was gonna say I've never watched Portlandia, but I'm assuming it takes place in Portland.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that one's fun to watch. It was fun to see Portland and the different place, like different aspects of like like live like very hippie culture and stuff like that. That's not like exactly what Portland is. Obviously, that's like extreme. But
Now, is that show done? Like Portlandia, is that show
oh yeah,
like?
I think it ended like a few years ago now.
Did you like that
And Grimm
show?
too. Yeah.
Did you
What
like
was it?
Portland? Did you like
Oh
Portlandia?
yeah, Portlandia was a lot of fun.
Okay,
Yeah, I liked it.
I've never watched a single episode of it, so I'm not sure.
Oh, you
Yeah,
should
I was
check it
trying.
out. Well, I don't know if you like it, but I liked it. I don't know.
There,
I think I'm just a homer, like I like seeing like where I live in a show. I'd like to see Portland in another show.
there
I like
was,
shows about Seattle too because I feel like the Pacific Northwest is just fun, to see in TV.
and maybe like a little underrepresented.
Yeah, yeah. The iZombie was in Seattle.
Okay.
There was a show called Reaper when I was younger. I used to watch.
Oh,
That was also based in Seattle.
I never watched that, but I vaguely like remember it because I think like Kevin Smith had something to do with producing it or some
It was
weird
a
thing.
fun show. It was a lot of fun. It was like definitely underproduced, but it was still a lot of fun.
I know a couple years ago there was a show based on a comic book called Stumptown, based in Portland, but I
Hmm.
think it only went one season, and then I think because of the pandemic and things, it ended up getting canceled. So it's
Mm.
it's done. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other like prominent like Portland shows.
I heard there's going to be a spin-off for Grimm coming out. I'm not sure like what the deal is with that. But I never really watched Grimm that much. I didn't really get into it like, like most people would have, I guess. But I'll check that out. If it's in Portland, I'll check it out for sure.
So what is Grimm? Like, is that a fairy tale thing or what?
It's just another cop show, but it's like it's got fairy tales involved. Like there's mythical creatures, that they hunt down, that are usually evil. So yeah, it's just him and his partner are trying to stop, like, I guess, the downfall of Portland from mythical creatures.
Was that like a cheap like sci-fi channel show or something?
It was on I think it was CW.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, one of those shows.
Yeah.
Man, that Supernatural show lasted like 16 seasons or something.
Man, that show ran forever. I used to
Forever,
love that show too. The first 5 seasons were good, man.
yeah.
And then it just dropped off so badly. I think it was intentional, like it was supposed to have 5 seasons. And then after that it was just, they just kept it going. I guess it was one of their better shows maybe, and they didn't want to let it go, and yeah, they drove that thing into the ground.
Yeah, I
The
think we
last
talked about
episode,
this.
the enemy is God himself. The last season.
Oh, God was the enemy?
Yeah, God was the bad guy,
Now I kind
which
of want to watch
I'm
that.
here for. I'm here for that. That's cool, because you don't usually get to see that. That's very counter to everybody on the planet, it seems. But they just did it in a bad way.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think I ever like Supernatural is one of those shows I was aware of, but like it was already like so many seasons in that I'm like, I'm not going to even attempt this show. You know what I mean?
Right, right, yeah. A, lo- a lot of the later episodes, like after season 5, is not worth watching. I'd say up to season 5 is great.
I almost feel like every show should be like the maximum number of seasons we're doing is 5 because like
Yeah.
almost every show that goes more than that, it goes so downhill that it's like, ugh.
I can't really think of a show that doesn't go downhill after 5 seasons. I'm not sure I can think of one.
There's a couple of sitcoms maybe like
I
Seinfeld
Love
and
Lucy.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
Mhm.
We're still
I don't I don't know how many seasons I Love Lucy had, but that show was always gold to me. When I was a kid, I used to love that show, man. I think it had 6 seasons, so I think it's right about there.
right about there. Yeah.
Yeah. Community was a good show. I think that had like 6 seasons, but the last 2 seasons were like on other stuff, like Yahoo or something. I'm not sure, but it was just they couldn't get it back on national TV.
Although some of those old shows, their seasons were like crazy long, like the number of episodes per
Oh yeah,
season. Because
yeah.
like I know I was watching like some like old school like from the 1950s episodes of Perry Mason.
Hmm.
And like I looked once and like season 1 was like a ridiculous amount of episodes. And I was like, God damn, Perry Mason. They were just like churning
Shooting
these
3 episodes
episodes
at a
out.
time or
Yeah, it
something like
was
a day.
yeah, I was actually like, how did they film this many episodes? You know what I mean? It was like crazy.
Yeah. That show Ghosts, I'm happy to say that there's a season 3 that already got greenlit and they're already shooting it. So I mean, it sounds like a successful show. The ratings look good too, solid, like in the 9 millions. They actually went up in the second season from the first season a little bit. So
Okay,
it
good.
sounds like it's doing good. I'm glad it's still here. Usually shows on network TV don't last long because I don't know, they just get rid of them so quickly.
Yeah, because that's what like a CBS show or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
There's rumors that like Paramount, which I think is like the parent company of CBS,
Hmm.
they might merge with Warner Brothers. Like they're talking about it.
Okay.
Which
That would be
like
good for Warner Brothers.
yeah, yeah. It's just it is kind of freaky though. Like these huge mergers we've seen in like prior years, like the Fox Disney merger, like was huge, And like a part of me is like, I don't know if it's a good thing that all of these companies seemingly are like starting to merge together. Like, I don't know if it's a good thing. And been like perpetual rumors that Apple might, merge with, another company too. Like, I think some people are actually like, oh, maybe Apple will merge with Disney, but I'm like, geez, that sounds like way too
Yeah,
big.
that sounds really bad. Like that would just be like one huge corporation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about like these already like huge companies consolidating even more and like just becoming like unwieldy.
I mean, I think aren't most brands and companies owned by like six companies, like Viacom, Disney, somebody else? Like I don't know, like
There is like already like you're right, like I think like five or six like huge conglomerates that like if you really like go check like so many companies are under those banners, but like yeah, I don't know how they all break out.
yeah, I mean, I know I said it was a good thing for WB just because we would get better high quality content, you know, like I would think Supergirl would have more money in the future, like if they ever remade it or whatever. I don't know, but at the same time, it is disheartening to hear that everything's going to a few companies and it's like a monopoly, right? Like an oligarchy. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, at the best probably like an oligarchy.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a weird times we're living in, man. I do wonder, like, if, in the next like 5 to 10 years, if we're gonna see more of that, like these big conglomerates, like condensing even more.
It just keeps happening, man. Like with the banks, like there was a time where there were like local small banks everywhere, you know, and they all get eaten up, and now there's like a lot less of that, you know. There's credit unions, which are great, I think, but you know, it is happening in every industry, it seems.
Yeah, and actually, like, even if you think like your local bank, you operate out of as like a smaller thing, like it probably is like it's owned by like a bigger like bank, and you don't even know it or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, AJ, should we get into stories?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, everybody, we're going to go around and see if we can't find some entertaining stories from around the globe. And AJ, I'll start with you.
All right. This is my favorite one, so try to start out with a hit. Family of cockroaches found living inside man's ear. He
Ah,
said his yeah, this is rough. He said his ear hurt a lot, like something was scratching or crawling inside. I discovered more than 10 cockroach babies inside. They were all running around. When a 24-year-old man known as Mr. LV uh, Liv, I guess, rushed to the hospital with a sharp pain in his right ear, doctors encountered far more than they bargained for, according to the New York Post. Hospital staff soon found a family of cockroaches that had hatched near the man's eardrum and were living inside. The young man was admitted to Sanei Hospital in China's Guangdong province in October and told doctors that his family had already shown a light in his ear and observed what looked like a large insect nesting within. Dr. Yijin, an ear, nose, and throat specialist at the hospital, likely presumed this was just another case of common ear pain like many others he'd seen throughout his career. But things rapidly took a turn. He said his ear hurt a lot, like something was scratching or crawling inside, said Dr. Yijin. It caused a lot of discomfort. Doctors then looked inside his ear and confirmed that there was that confirmed what surely was the worst. I discovered more than 10 cockroach babies inside. They were already running around. In order to remove them, doctors essentially used a simple pair of tweezers small enough to do the job and pull out each cockroach one by one. Mr. Liv was soon rid of all his hatched cockroach babies and the mother that had laid their eggs. While the patient was actually rather lucky, the egg case of a German cockroach usually contains 30 to 40 eggs. He was also at least partially responsible for the problem in the first place. According to Sanei Hospital's deputy head of ENT, Dr. Jiang Tenqiang, Mr. Liv admitted that his living conditions were rather unsanitary. He had a habit of leaving food out in the open overnight right next to his bed while he slept, causing a flurry of insects to go rummaging around in his sleeping area. Despite his carelessness, the patient ultimately suffered only minor injuries that have likely already healed since the October incident. He was discharged on the same day with a simple prescription for antibiotic ointment. Dr. Chen Jing also made sure to provide him with basic preventative advice that anyone would be wise to follow, unless they would want to host a family of insects and intruders in their skulls. Practice good hygiene, disinfect drains and sewers, use mosquito nets and screens on windows. That'll stop insects from flying or crawling into your noses and ears. Man, that is, I think, everyone's worst nightmare.
It's pretty bad. I mean, it's one of those things where you would like to think that, like, if a cockroach got in your ear while you were sleeping that deeply that you would notice, but like maybe you wouldn't. You know what I mean?
I mean, he had discomfort, you know. I mean, he felt it.
But I mean, didn't
I
he feel like after it had already gotten in there and like laid some eggs or hatched?
Yeah, I mean, the mother was alive. She was walking around. I'm sure he. Let's see. It caused a lot of discomfort. He said there was scratching or crawling inside. Um, it doesn't say how quickly he felt that though. Like when he started feeling those symptoms. Maybe it was after there was 10 cockroaches crawling around in his ear. But boy, I mean, I get like itchy, you know, just thinking about bugs. Like it's like ingrained in us. Like even when we're sleeping, to like, you know, because we used to sleep out in the open on the ground in nature, you know, like just creepy crawlies or something you just don't
Yeah,
want on your body. You move around, you think about it. You know, even now when we live in houses and this guy had him in his ear. Oh my gosh.
man. I don't know if this is a true story or just an urban legend I heard as a kid, but I definitely like remember hearing the story that like this woman. I don't know if it was in her ear or just her hair. I think it was just her hair.
I
Like
think I've heard this story.
a black widow like made home in her hair, and
Yeah.
then it gave birth to like a bunch of babies, and it ended up like
Yeah.
killing this woman,
Mhm.
and that's horrifying.
That is horrifying. I think we've talked about this before. Like, I one time stepped on a pregnant spider, and thousands of little eggs, like those spiders, came out of there. Like, it's just, it
Me
was just
too.
insane.
Yeah, I had that same experience. The first job I worked in a department store, I was in the back, and there's this huge spider, and I stepped on it, and same thing, just all these little spiders come out, and I'm just like trying to stomp as many of them as I can. But yeah, that is a horrifying thing to
Yeah.
witness.
I just don't think spiders can ever be eradicated, man. Not when they can have that many kids.
God, I know it's so insane to think about how many insects and spiders there are in the world. It's just like
Yeah,
so dense with them that it's like, holy crap.
for sure.
I
I
think
mean,
about that.
especially in tropical environments.
Yeah. Oh, God. And they get some nasty ones there. But like even here, we get those sugar ants really bad. And it's like we kill so many of those things and they just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. And it's like, oh my God, there's
We
so
get
many.
gnats. We have a lot of fruit in our house. We get gnats. But I mean, there's an easy way to kill them too. Like you just put out some vinegar and soap. You put them in a bowl, and they die by like in 2 days. They're all gone. Maybe a week tops.
Yeah. Well, sugar ants, they say too, and we've done this several times, is you like, you basically dip cotton balls in like the solution of like borax and sugar, water, whatever.
Hmm.
And like they come down and they get it and like it works. It like, kills like a bunches of them. And then you
Hmm.
might have like a day or two without ants and then they're just back. It's just like,
Oh
oh my
man,
God. You kill
it's
like
a
so many,
never-ending supply.
never ending. It's so crazy. Okay, AJ, I got a story for you here. So apparently, I think they do this every at the end of every year. Pornhub puts out like the most popular
Oh, I
searched
saw this. Yeah. Okay.
terms, and
Yeah.
And the one I found interesting is they do one by states, and it says United States top relative searches. Terms searched more often in each state when compared to all others. So, like, I don't think these are necessarily like the most searched term in each state, but like it's like basically like the kink term that for whatever reason gets more play in each state compared to every other. And so I found this really interesting. And so I'm going to play a little game with you here, AJ. Is can you guess the kink of each state? I won't go through all of them. Like I'll do some of the more fun ones. So AJ, we're in Oregon. What do you think Oregon's Pornhub search kink is?
People are weird here. Furry?
No, but there is a state with furry. Mississippi is the furry state.
Mississippi?
Mississippi.
Is the furry state?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oregon, nudist. We're going for nudists, which I
That
mean
doesn't seem extreme enough for Oregon.
there are a lot of hippies here though, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, AJ, you're from Texas. What do you think Texas's kink is? What's their search term?
When I was younger, I heard a radio show in Texas talking about this. It was teen.
Well, you know what's weird is so teen isn't I don't think on any of these, but I'm guessing, like I said, like I bet teen is probably the most searched in a lot of states, but these are just like the ones relative to other states. So like, so these are more like niche things. But for Texas, creamy,
Oh
not cream pie, creamy, just
What?
creamy.
Oh my goodness. That's a weird. Okay, all right. That's a weird way to put that. I guess I don't know.
Now this one surprised me too. Okay, AJ, my home state of Montana, rugged Montana. What do you think Montana's kink is?
And now that you said rugged, I got to think it's something pegging, maybe.
Well, there might be pegging involved. BDSM is Montana's kink, which is interesting. This is like a lame one, but what do you think our neighbors to the north, Washington State, what do you think theirs is?
A lame one, huh?
Yeah.
I feel like I've touched all the weird ones that I can think of. You gotta tell me, man.
Sensual sex.
What?
Sensual sex is what their search term.
That's their kink? Sensual?
I know, right? That's so weird.
They're
Actually,
the most normal people, I guess. I don't know. What are they doing normally then? If that's their kink, sensual.
that's true. Like they're all just having like really rough sex, and so they're like okay, I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get some sensual sex.
What if we did some normal missionary? That'd be wild.
Okay, I'm gonna like hit some of the other ones that I just think are. I think. Okay, the one I find probably the funniest is in North Dakota. Okay, their kink. Loud, wet sex.
What?
It's so specific. Loud, wet sex.
That does not sound good. That sounds gross.
It does sound gross and very peculiar. I mean, it's just so like.
It was also kind of gross. This is also gross.
I mean, I do wonder how it like. Are some people like searching loud sex and other people wet sex, and they just like put them together? Are people actually like, I could go for some loud wet sex? It's just such a funny term.
It is weird. Yeah, I don't know how that became popularized. Like more than one person thought of that. That's so strange to me.
Okay, AJ, I got one you actually might be able to guess. What is Utah's search term?
Oh, that's got to be docking or something.
You're right. You're on the right track. It's just Mormon in general, Mormon porn.
What is that? I mean, drinking milk and holding hands?
Along the same lines, kind of. Um, what do you think Nevada's search term is?
Oh, it's got to be something insane, right? But I mean, you're saying it's along the same lines.
Well,
That's
just like how Mormon is very specific to Utah, this would be
oh,
very specific to Nevada.
showgirls.
That's a good guess. Vegas, just Vegas
Okay,
porn in general. Which
all
I'm
right.
like, what is that? Like, just
I don't
people.
know.
There's another one like that too. Hawaii. Their term is just Hawaiian, so they're like very insular. Like, oh, we like ourselves. You would think they would want something a little exotic when they go for the porn, right? Like something out of the what they see every day.
Yeah, I I I actually looked up. I saw this. I saw another article about these porn searches, and I think the number one, which surprised me, because like they're not a very big part of the population, like as a whole. Like there's more like I don't know. The ebony was number one in the U.S.
Oh,
There's more white women in America. I was surprised by that. By
yeah.
far, there's more white women.
I was going to mention. I actually wish I would have copied that map as well because yeah, I remember it was what was interesting. Well, first of all, it was funny because like South America just said anal on it. I'm like, okay, south of the border, they're obsessed with south of the border, I guess. But what was interesting is like Africa, like the search term was ebony. Like the Middle East, the search term was Arab. Russia, the search term was Russia. So they're almost like all insular, like we like what we see, but America, which has a reputation of being racist, we're actually like ebony. So I was
Yeah,
like, that seems almost progressive for us.
it does. It does. You know what else shocked me? Some of the bigger countries in the world were not on this list. Like, how are like you're telling me China's not watching this? India's not watching this? Pakistan, Indonesia?
Well,
Like,
China, though, I think their internet is somewhat restricted by the government. So theirs could
oh,
either
maybe it's the
be,
case with all those countries then. It might be the case. I
it
don't
could be a
know.
thing where maybe porn is restricted to them, or a thing where we just
Or they have
don't
their
have,
own sites that they go to.
or we don't have the means to, or like maybe Pornhub there doesn't have the means to like accurately see what they're searching for whatever reason. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and they might have their own local sites too. I know, like that might be a thing.
that could be too. Yeah, because like any country where you can get porn, people are going to watch porn. And even most
Yeah,
countries where you probably, it is restricted, like they're probably getting it somehow.
yeah.
Um, what do you think California is their search term?
Gosh, actresses? I don't know. I mean,
This one's actually
just
very
going.
specific too. Not just stepmom,
Hmm.
Asian stepmom.
Oh, okay. I mean, they have a large Asian population there. Asian
um,
stepmom. That is interesting.
in
Okay.
New Mexico, Native American, which there, I know
I
there
guess
are
that
like
makes.
there are reservations in New Mexico, so I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Oklahoma just says sex dick.
What? Sex dick.
Sex dick. I would be almost embarrassed to be in some of these states. Um, okay, AJ, one state had to do it. BBC, the old big black, you know what? What state do you
Hmm.
think is obsessed with the BBC?
Gosh, I'm surprised that multiple states aren't obsessed with that. It seems like
That's
a very
true.
popular
That's true.
category. Um, I'll go with New York.
Nope, it's the Big Wheezy, Louisiana.
Oh, okay, okay.
Let's see, what is New York? Oh, weird. New York is body swap porn.
What?
Body swap porn. That's a
How is that a
freaky.
category?
That's a freaky deaky Friday.
What? That is such a unique category.
Oh my god! Some of these Connecticut double vaginal.
So like two in one sort of
Two,
thing?
yeah, two in one. Oh,
No.
oh, District of Columbia is on here, and this one's interesting. Big ass cop.
Big ass cop?
Big ass cop.
In District of Columbia? Okay.
That's it. Some of these, I gotta say, some of these really are interesting.
That kind of reminds me of that story of that cop lady who was banging like 5 dudes.
Oh, right, right.
Did you see the picture of her?
Yeah, we did a story of her on the show at that
She
time.
looks like this like innocent little like I don't know. Like it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, actually, if you go back in our feeds, like when we did that story, like I posted the picture of that lady. But yeah,
Oh,
you're right. You're right.
and the dude she was with, I mean, they were some big dudes. Like,
There's some BBCs.
yeah, she was getting those BBCs.
This one I found interesting. So New Jersey, Turkish, Turkish porn. That sounds very specific. Is there a big Turkish community in New Jersey?
I guess so. I don't know. This is telling me a lot about the demographics of states, though.
I know. Tennessee likes giantess porn, like giant women, I guess, or maybe giant men too.
I like tall women. Tall women are beautiful.
Yeah, but like if I was searching, I would just search tall women. Like I wouldn't say like giantess. Like or
Yeah.
maybe that's just how Pornhub categorizes it, and people are really just like tall, but they're like, oh, giantess sounds better.
Amazon.
Ohio is interesting. Small dick porn in Ohio. Small dick.
That's not a good look for you, Ohio. That's not a good look.
Oh, Illinois, the ass eating state.
Okay.
You'll have to move there.
Oh man, ass eating is it's become very popular with the youths. I don't know how it became a thing, but it is.
This is one, I don't even know what this one means necessarily. Missouri, transformation porn. Not trans porn, transformation porn. Like, I don't know what that is. Is that like people transform into animals or something? Like, I don't know what that. It's these metal robots clanging together.
Oil spills out the end.
Good Lord. Oh, okay. This one's is a case of like opposites attract. I think Wyoming, goth porn.
That is unexpected. Yeah.
Some of these, like, good Lord. West Virginia, nip slip is their search term.
Jeez, that's it.
Iowa likes their cartoon porn. Nebraska just says rub. Idaho
Don't
likes
anybody from Nebraska. Jeez.
Idaho likes the dildo ride.
Seems pretty tame.
You'd think Florida would be something freaky, but theirs is just fantasy porn.
Yeah, but what are those fantasies? Like two
That's
alligators,
That's true.
a boa.
Maine is thruple. Thruple.
That's just a threesome. Why are they renaming it?
That's true. That sounds like a tall / giantess thing where they're just trying to. And Wisconsin is swingers. Oh, Minnesota is tickling.
I mean, when it's porn, though, everybody's a swinger. I know it's a fantasy, but
that's true. Yeah. I think we've covered like the most interesting ones, but still, my favorite, North Dakota, loud wet sex. That's just classic.
That is wild. They got the earphones up all the way.
It's so loud and wet. Oh man, this was a fun one. But AJ, I'll give it back to you.
All right. I don't think I have anything that good, so let's see. Oh, this was just a nightmare of mine when I was younger. The young people today won't understand this, but we do. Woman faces felony charges for forgetting to return Sabrina the Teenage Witch VHS tape 20 years ago. Yeah, she went to a Blockbuster. A woman in Texas received a nasty shock while trying to update her married name. She was a criminal for a crime she didn't even remember committing. In fact, she was guilty of a crime most people of a certain age would have probably committed. 20 years ago, she forgot to return a VHS tape. Karen McBride, 52, made the discovery during a trip to the DMV. The former Oklahoma resident had moved to Texas and gotten married and needed to update her information. I went to change my driver's license during this COVID thing, you had to make an appointment. They told me that I had an issue in Oklahoma. McBride was mystified. She called the number from the DMV and they had provided, and was connected to the Cleveland County District Attorney's Office. During that conversation, McBride was floored to learn that she was a wanted felon. The first thing she told me was a felony embezzlement. So I thought I was going to have a heart attack. She then learned what crime she had committed. She told me that it was a VHS tape. I had to make her repeat it because I thought this is insane. The girl is kidding me, right? She wasn't kidding. In 1999, someone had rented a copy of Sabrina the Teenage Witch in McBride's name from an Oklahoma video store called Movie Place. Okay, not Blockbuster. When no one returned the VHS cassette, she was charged. McBride was charged in March 2000 for felony embezzlement of rented property. The charges say that McBride did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously embezzle a certain one video cassette tape, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, of the value of $58.59. That is way too much for Sabrina the Teenage Witch VHS tape. That's too much. Almost $60. McBride was stunned. Not only did she not remember renting the VHS cassette, she didn't even like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I have never watched that show in my life. Just not my cup of tea. Meanwhile, I'm a wanted felon for a VHS tape. McBride added, I mean, I didn't try to deceive anyone ever. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I swear, as she absorbed the shocking news, it dawned on her how such a thing could have happened. In 1999, she had a roommate. I lived with a young man. This was over 20 years ago. McBride explained he had two kids, both daughters that were ages 8, 10, and there's a third kid for some reason that they don't mention in the first sentence. And I'm thinking he went and got it and didn't take it back or something. In fact, the more McBride thought about it, the more other parts of her life seemed to suddenly make sense. Since 1999, she had been fired from a handful of jobs. Her employer had never given her a reason. Now she thinks that her criminal background is why. When they ran my criminal background check, all they're seeing is those two words, felony embezzlement. Fortunately, it seems that McBride won't be a felon for very much longer. The Cleveland County District Attorney's Office announced that they would dismiss the case against her. However, McBride will still need legal intervention to have the felony charges cleared from her record. Stories like McBride's are an echo of an era long past. The store where McBride rented Sabrina the Teenage Witch closed in 2008. Blockbuster, once the largest video rental chain in the United States, closed most of its locations in 2014 after declaring bankruptcy in 2010. However, McBride isn't alone in accidentally keeping a VHS tape past its return date, and surprisingly, she's not the first person to face charges for it. In 2016, a North Carolina man was arrested for failing to return a VHS cassette he rented in 2002. Freddie got fingered. The man was arrested after being pulled over for a busted taillight. The officer said, I don't know how to tell you this, but there's a warrant out for your arrest from 2002. Apparently, you rented the movie Freddie Got Fingered and never returned it.
It's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're about to get fingered.
You're going to jail and you're going to get more than fingered, buddy. It just goes to show everyone should double check their closets for an unreturned VHS tape. I mean, these stores closed years ago and the charges for not returning their tapes are still out. That's insane, man. It was dangerous renting movies back then. You were testing it. Those late fees, all that stuff.
The thing that gets me, though, is the fact that it shouldn't be legal for them to charge more in late fees than whatever they paid for that cassette tape, like the $60 for being able to rent it or whatever. Like that should be what it maxes out at. You shouldn't just be able to keep applying penalties forever until somebody racks up a felony, which is insane.
Yeah. Hollywood Video was the worst at that. They really charge you an arm and leg. I went there one time and I was like 2-3 days late with a return. Oh my gosh, they were much worse than Blockbuster, man. Imagine what they're doing to people right now.
Yeah, there's all these people in
just a chain gang. What'd you do? Hollywood Video.
Yeah. What did you do? I rented Freddie Got Fingered. That's what I'm in for. That's also insult to injury when it's like a bad movie. They got you in all this trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Hmm.
That's the other thing is like you said, like these stores aren't even around anymore. It's
yeah. There's no one to pay off or
even if she wanted to pay that fine, she couldn't.
Yeah. I think I read a story a while back that was like about an overdue library book where somebody had like racked up like 1,000 or something, like a really high fine for like a book. That's
Yeah, that's the
insane.
other thing. Like, it should max out at whatever that book costs.
Yeah.
It. I don't understand this. Like, will allow places to fine people infinite money for something that didn't
Right.
cost that much. Although, don't most, at least public libraries, don't they have like one like amnesty week per year where they're like, okay, you can bring in your books and you won't get fined or whatever?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
I think some of them do at least. Because I
Huh.
remember like my hometown library had a thing like that, like an amnesty week. Like if you have overdue books, bring them back this week, no late charge.
That's like good and bad because then people will wait until Amnesty Week to return it, right?
Probably. I'm kind of surprised in this day and age that like public libraries like still are a thing, but there are people that still like that process of going and checking out like a physical book and doing the whole rigmarole.
Actually, public libraries are better now than ever, I think. Like you can rent movies from there. Like you can do a lot of stuff. You can stream movies, I think, from public libraries. So they're a really good source for a lot of things.
Yeah, I've never checked it out. I probably should. I know there's one called like Canopy, I think with like a K. That's like
Hmm.
a library streaming service where you can like stream like, certain movies for free, which might be good stuff on there. I've never looked. Well, AJ, I didn't like pre-read this article, so hopefully but the title
Welcome to my world.
the title I thought was interesting, so hopefully it will be.
Mhm.
This is 7 of the strangest, creepiest, and most mysterious graves in the U.S., which
Okay.
I think I've talked about this on the show that if I was like super wealthy, like I would have a headstone that like sent people on like this like kind of national treasure like series of like hidden clues that lead to just nothing like or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'd love to have like a mysterious grave where people are like, what was this guy? He was like part of a secret society or the Illuminati or something.
Mm.
Number 1, the paste eater's grave. Remember how your parents told you not to eat glue as a toddler? Well, here's one man who clearly never learned that lesson. The paste eater's gravestone stands in Goldfield, Nevada. According to local reports, in it lies an unknown vagrant who reportedly died in 1908 after eating library paste. A newspaper clipping from the Times states the starving man's corpse was found with an empty paste jar. Hopelessly hungry, he had eaten the toxic concoction as what would become his last meal. Despite not knowing who the lonely wanderer was, the townsfolk gave him a burial and a simple headstone. But did they really need to write this particular cause of death on it? It just says like died eating library paste and then the date, and then like unknown man at the top. It's
What?
kind of
No, he
sad
was
though.
murdered.
It's he probably was, but like even if he like it's sad because like it probably was less of like a compunction to eat the paste, but like he was just like starving and he's like, all I have is
Yeah.
this paste. I'll give it a shot.
But then again, we have seen those shows where people do have compulsions to eat weird stuff.
That's true.
Could have gone
He
either
could
way, maybe.
he
Yeah.
could have just been an ancient version of one of those people. Number 2, the Saint Omer witch's grave. The town of St. Omer in Illinois is no more, but its old cemetery remains to this day. In it, you will find the strange gravestone of the Barnes family. The stone is carved into the shape of a giant ball sitting on top of an unlit wooden pyre. On the ball are carved the names and dates of birth and death of Marcus Barnes and his wife Caroline. Caroline's date of death is a bit odd, though. It's marked as February 31st, 1882, a date that never existed. Local stories claim that Caroline was a witch, and the locals intentionally put an erroneous date on the gravestone so she couldn't return to haunt the living on the anniversary of her death. To go with the witchy rumors, the grave is supposedly still used as a site of eldritch rituals to this day. I mean,
No, it just sounds like an error. Some
well,
dum dum.
I could believe like superstitious people back there doing that, but that's kind of a messed up thing. Is like, oh, intentionally put the wrong date on there so she can't haunt us. Like that is like a funny thing for them to like think.
What year was this?
1882.
It's like a century too late for that stuff, man.
3. The Grave of the Lady in Red. In 1969, farmhands worked on the Egypt plantation in Kruger, Mississippi. They made a gruesome discovery. Digging the ground, they happened upon a coffin lying in an unmarked grave. This wasn't just any coffin, though. It was a cast iron and glass box filled with an alcoholic preservative solution. In the liquid floated a woman's corpse in pristine condition, clad in a red velvet dress, white gloves, and boots. Her clothes indicated the woman may have died before the Civil War. The alcohol filled coffin had preserved her body perfectly. Despite local historians' best efforts, no one has been able to figure out the woman's identity. After her accidental exhumation, she was reburied in the Oddfellows Cemetery in Lexington, Mississippi. Uh, I mean, that's kind of a weird thing that, like, it almost makes me wonder if, like, there was a serial killer back then and this was, like the only victim they found of his.
Yeah,
He's
I can see
like,
that.
his calling card is like to preserve the body and put him in like a red dress or something. The red dress killer.
Mhm.
Number 4, the XYZ grave. A gang of 4 criminals was about to break into a bank in Deep River, Connecticut on December 13th, 1899. Unfortunately for the robbers, somebody had tipped the bank off about their heist. The bank security guard, Harry Tyler, stopped the robbery, and the man leading the criminals died in the ensuing exchange of fire. With no idea who he was buried in an unmarked grave. Shortly after, Tyler received a letter penned in what he took for a woman's handwriting. The letter requested the dead robber be given a gravestone engraved with the letters XYZ. Well, that's what the deceased criminal got. For the next 40 years, locals reported seeing a woman in black visiting the grave every December, leaving behind one carnation. Number 5, the Merchant Ball. Charles B. Merchant sure lived up to his surname. He was a successful, wealthy businessman from Marion, Ohio. When he died in 1896, his family erected a striking gravestone featuring an enormous polished stone ball sitting on top of a pedestal. One spot on the ball was left rough, as the family assumed it, together with the ball's weight, would keep it stationary. For some reason, though, the ball began rotation, exposing its bald spot to the world. The ball has been reoriented a couple of times, but to no avail. It always begins rolling again, showing off the one rough spot on its smooth surface. No one knows exactly why the ball rotates, although it probably has something to do with vibrations traveling along the ground. Or maybe it's Mr. Merchant who can no longer keep the wheels of his business turning, so he turns the ball on his grave instead. This makes me wonder, like, what exactly, if you were rich, could you get away with, like, making your tombstone? Like, could you make a tombstone that just, like, is ridiculous and has, like, a bunch of, like, spinning, like, things on it and, like, weird lights and stuff on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you could. You could do anything if you're rich. The world is your oyster.
I mean, it just seems like most tombstones are so boring. They're just like, pieces of rock that do nothing.
Hmm. I mean, back in the old days, though, like ancient times, if you had a very nice tomb, somebody would go rob it. If you had a nice
That's
tomb
true.
now, I imagine somebody will go rob it.
That's probably true, yeah. Number 6, the Aurora alien's grave. The Roswell incident is probably the most famous UFO case in American history, but there was another similar story in Aurora, Texas, some 50 years earlier. In 1897, a supposed mystery airship crashed into a windmill of Aurora Judge J.S. Proctor. The accident killed the craft's pilot, a petite Martian creature. The locals gave their extraterrestrial visitor a Christian burial, despite not knowing the alien's actual religious convictions. Under a tree in the town's graveyard, they reportedly erected a small headstone for the being, etched with a simple drawing of his wrecked airship. Eventually, the gravestone disappeared from the graveyard. At some point, a replacement was put in place, until someone stole that as well. Frankly, there's no evidence that there ever was an alien grave in the Aurora graveyard. Nonetheless, a state historical marker at the site mentions the spaceship and its dead pilot, so maybe it did happen. I mean, I don't even know how this would have got started. Like, it makes me wonder, did like maybe there was like a midget pilot who died, and the guy was just like, "Oh, it's an alien." I'm guessing somehow the whole story was made up, and like just
Yeah.
everybody believed this guy or something like that. And finally, number 7, the Black Angel. A large sculpture of a winged angel stands guard atop the grave of Teresa and Nicholas uh, Feldevert in the Oakland Cemetery in Iowa City. This isn't your usual angel, though. The statue is pitch black. It wasn't always that way. According to local legends, the originally light colored angel turned black overnight due to the sins of the Feldevert family. Yet the angelic being doesn't seem satisfied with judging only Feldeverts. Stories claim that certain and quick death awaits anyone who kisses the statue or even touches it. In reality, the angel's discoloration is a natural result of its bronze surface oxidating over time. I mean, maybe if people are like making out with the statue, maybe they are getting something that will kill them. I don't know. Although, that's a weird thing that someone would have even tested. Like, why would somebody have kissed the statue in the first place?
Yeah, I don't know. That is a weird thing, but
There's
people
just
will do everything at least once.
well, let me go back to the Pornhub story and see what state has like tombstone licking as their as their kink
I
of
mean,
choice.
I mean, one of those Pornhub categories may remind me of the statue of David. How he has a small pee. I like how
Oh, right.
the Greeks used to idolize small penises. That is counter to, I think, most humans. But I guess they thought it made you less barbaric, less, I don't know, more intelligent.
I actually have a theory about that. I actually
Mm.
think those statues originally had like like huge, like luscious, veiny penises. But like, but like, you know how you have that cousin that you go to his house and he's like, "Hey man, you want to see this street sign I stole?" Like, you know, like if you went to your cousin's house back in those days, he'd be like, "Hey man, you want to see Hercules' dick?" And you'd be like, "Do I?"
I mean, it could have just been the answers to the folks from Ohio. Could have just been those people. They're like, we need some more of this porn. Get it everywhere. Small peepees for everyone.
I think I'm going to move to Ohio just so I fit in better.
They're not gonna like you there. They're gonna be like, no, you're not small. They prefer them.
Well, I'm going to go there because maybe their women have lowered expectations.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Be like,
okay.
you know what I
I didn't
mean?
bet. Okay, I didn't get that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, AJ, somehow I think we made another one of these shows. Everybody listening, if you will, please subscribe both to the YouTube channel and in audio form on your podcast catcher of choice. Give us thumbs up, positive reviews. Let us know what your most searched, or your biggest Pornhub search of the year was. Actually, you know what? You know how like I'm not signed up for any services that do this, but I know like people like on Spotify and stuff, like they get an end of the year thing that's like, oh, here was your like top most listened to songs and stuff like that. And I think like I do have a PlayStation account. I know some people have like a PlayStation thing that says like, oh, here's your most played games. Maybe there is a way I can get that. But like it would be like weird if you had like a personal Pornhub account, if they were like, oh, here's your most searched terms, like here's your most watched videos, things like that. You know what I
Do a
mean?
little timeline into your laps or whatever
Right.
timelines. Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be
uh,
so depressing for so many people.
just to know like the cumulative like time you spent there would probably be depressing. Uh,
10 days.
but yeah, anyway, comment down below, thumbs up, positive reviews, all that good stuff. If you like, you can follow me over on Twitter/X at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. But that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.